Speed.
Yes, sir.
I look at this 1,147,000 and it works out, I believe, we're back down to 7,410 square feet, is that correct?
Yes,
So this is $153 to $155 a square foot. Just recently there was a building built like 2 miles from here, commercial style building, brick building at around $93 to $95 a square foot. Now, I understand that there are some little things involved beyond that. But there again, I question the numbers that I see. Now, I realize where it was placed out on the bid site, and not everybody will go bid on this because they don't like being involved with the government. One thing.
Excuse me, 13? You had 13 people submit bids? Okay.
12.
Cool.
But you as individuals, if you were going out there and build your house out here in Gates County, rural Gates County, and you would go get a contractor and he brought you back $150 a square foot, what would you do?
Would build it.
If I was building a library, I probably wouldn't improve the price. If I was building a house, probably not.
And what's the difference, Frank?
You know, there's a lot of things, you've seen what the document calls for tomorrow. We wouldn't have a parking lot with 30 or 40 parking spaces, the asphalt, a driveway that's curved all the way around. And it probably would be 7,000 square feet. And, you know, it's a whole lot different than we're talking about a building. I've been in the building trade for a long time. There is a difference.
Yeah, it was 1,146,000 of the building. Well, that doesn't talk about that.
But we talked about several of the contractors that looked at that actually what we talked about at this point in time, and their price on a building like this was pretty much the same as what we
So what do you think the difference is between the church building and this?
Well, one of the things with the windows were different. They use house windows in the church, and they didn't use them in that. That's one thing.
So how much?
I'm not going no fault in this argument at all. We're at this point. We'll take the vote and just go from there. There's no need to do this again. We've got to do it now.
Yes, it is. With all due respect, sir, I would ask you to relinquish the chair if you have that attitude, because it requires.
I will not relinquish the chair.
Okay, well, let's talk about some things then.
All right, go ahead, Donnie. We'll talk.
Well, for one thing, the people in Gates County here were not allowed the opportunity. I was in Raleigh the other day, State of North Carolina Department of Treasury. Guidelines for issuance of debt. Number B7. Community support for the project is important, especially, and listen to this, for non-voted debt. Lack of community support may be evidenced by comments at meetings of the governing body or public hearings, correspondence, newspaper articles, etc. Now, at that meeting, I put Mr. Vance Holland. They took that to mean the vote of the commissioners was representative of the public. However, if you recall, the right of any government by the first article of the Constitution is a petition against their government when they see that something is done wrong. That was done. That was exercised. Now, here is a sample of November 2010 from Forsyth County, North Carolina. And if you look on, this was the people, and on the back was a little vote here. I'll read it to you. Shall the order adopted on September 2nd, 2010, authorize and not exceed $40 million library bonds of the County of Forsyth, North Carolina, for the purpose of providing funds together with any other available funds for acquiring, constructing, expanding, and renovating library buildings and other library facilities, both fixed and mobile, including but not limited to the acquisition of any related land, rights of way, and equipment, and authorizing the levy of taxes in an amount sufficient to pay the principal of and the interest on said bonds or approved. Now you ask yourself, you reckon this is legal? You know the difference between bonds and a loan? Basically, bonds are an instrument that is sold like stock that is put up by the government. A loan is one individual, like a bank is doing that. So, obviously I was disappointed that the LGC took this to mean the commissioners. There's no need to be angry at them because really they acted within their scope of authority, which is determine the solvency of the county. And we are in just a little bit above average on our debt. However, the people to be concerned about, if you are sitting on this side of the table. Because the power to do so, this resides solely with the commissioners. Solely. And that's my whole contention. I have no problem with the library, none whatsoever. We need to do something. But this is also something that needs to be voted on by the taxpayers. Only 10%, and I take that back, I need to vote, only 7% of the population are using the library on a consistent basis with the cards, library cards. You might have a lot of visitors, but how many are actually using the library cards? Only 7%. Now, 11% of the voters, that includes 21% of juveniles that aren't voters. So should 10% dictate to the other 90 without allowing them the access to vote and exercise their opinion? I don't think so. This is a democracy. And you should exhibit everything that you can to procure all of the information and all of the input to make a wise decision. Allowing the people to vote is wise. It's a win-win for everybody. Because it's a win for me sitting on this side, because if you tell me that's what you want, I'm going to be behind you 100%. I'll carry the ball just as hard as anybody.
Yep.
But I'm not going until the captain moves the ship. I'm not going. Not at all. I don't think that's right. And the school board, last Monday night, came to this group here. And I've got the document right here that came out today on Raleigh, Gates County. There's going to be a negative $548,000 in the funding for your students here in Gates County. They asked us for $250,000 last Monday night to help their budget. They showed a graphic that had $1 million revenue shortfall and $1 million increase in expenditures. Now, I think that needs to be scrutinized well also. But I ask you as citizens, where do you think you should be putting your taxpaying money? Investing in your students or investing in a new shiny library that said that this is promote education? Great. How much education do you think I need? I'm close to the end of my life. Most of the people in Gates County are. You go back and get the last 10 graduating classes in Gates County and pull out their top 10 students that they had of the class. and you tell me, that's 100 people, and you tell me where they're at today.
Gone.
Do you think they're in Gates County?
Nope.
It's a shame. So, you know, that's the thing. Don't be mad at the LGC if you disapprove or whatever. The blame is here. I'm done.
Thank you, Johnny. Are there any other